The Galactic Council had always considered humans to be the most peculiar species to join their ranks. Unlike the logical Zephyrians or the peaceful Melodians, humans possessed an unsettling duality that made even the war-hardened Krextar nervous. They could be compassionate healers one moment and ruthless predators the next. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the tactical display with cold, calculating eyes. The red dots representing the Vex-High fleet moved across the holographic star map like a plague, consuming everything in their path. For 3 centuries, these apex predators had terrorized the Outer Rim colonies, and the Galactic Council had done nothing but issue strongly worded diplomatic protests. "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from the communication station, "we're receiving distress signals from the Kepler 442 mining colony. The Vex-High they're not taking prisoners." Sarah's jaw tightened. The Vex-High never took prisoners. They were the galaxy's perfect predators. 8 feet tall, razor-sharp claws, impenetrable exoskeletons, and a hive mind that made them nearly impossible to outmaneuver. They consumed other species not just for sustenance but for the sheer pleasure of the hunt. Every galactic civilization lived in terror of their raids. Every civilization except humanity. "Signal the fleet," Sarah ordered. "Operation Apex begins now." Across the sector, 47 human vessels decloaked simultaneously. They had been tracking the Vex-High pack for weeks, studying their patterns, learning their weaknesses. While other species saw the Vex-High as unstoppable forces of nature, humans saw them as just another predator that needed to be put down. The first lesson humanity had learned on Earth was simple. Every predator, no matter how perfect, had weaknesses. Sharks could be confused by electromagnetic fields. Lions could be outsmarted with patience and strategy. Humans had spent millennia perfecting the art of hunting hunters, and they brought that expertise to the stars. "Deploying seeker drones," announced Commander Torres from the UES Vengeance. Thousands of tiny, nearly invisible drones scattered across space, each one programmed with one purpose: to disrupt the Vex-High hive mind frequency that Dr. Patel's team had discovered after months of studying captured Vex-High communications. The effect was immediate. The Vex-High fleet, which had been moving in perfect coordination, suddenly faltered. Individual ships began drifting, their formation breaking apart as the hive-mind connection flickered and died. "Phase 2, Sarah commanded. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations. The human fleet didn't charge in with overwhelming firepower like the Krextar would have. They didn't attempt to negotiate like the Melodians. Instead, they hunted. The Retribution led a pack of destroyers in a flanking maneuver that would have made Earth's wolves proud. Meanwhile, the carrier group used the asteroid field to mask their approach, moving with the patience that had once allowed human hunters to track mammoths across ice ages. When the Vex-High tried to regroup, they found themselves surrounded, isolated, and confused. The electromagnetic pulse weapons that Dr. Kim had developed specifically targeted their neural pathways, causing pain that their species had never evolved to handle. For the first time in their existence, the Vex-High experienced something they had never felt before: fear. Admiral Marcus Washington, watching from the command ship Apex, allowed himself a grim smile. "Target their brood ships first," he ordered. "Cut off their ability to reproduce." The battle was swift and decisive. The humans had studied their prey thoroughly, learning that Vex-High became erratic and desperate when their breeding vessels were threatened. What the galaxy saw as a mindless aggression, humans recognized as protective instinct, and they exploited it ruthlessly. Within 6 hours, the Vex-High fleet that had terrorized the Outer Rim for decades was either destroyed or fleeing toward the galactic core. The survivors carried with them something that would spread through their hive mind like a virus: the knowledge that they were no longer the apex predators of the galaxy. As reports of the victory spread through the Galactic Council, reactions varied. The Zephyrians calculated the statistical improbability of the human victory. The Melodians composed songs of gratitude. The Krextar, seasoned warriors themselves, simply nodded in respectful acknowledgement. But it was Ambassador Thys of the Reptilian Confederacy who perhaps understood the implications most clearly. During the emergency council session, she stood before the assembled delegates and made a statement that would become legendary. "We have always wondered what made humans so different from the rest of us. Today we have our answer. Every species in this galaxy evolved from prey animals that learned to defend themselves. Humans evolved from predators that learned to cooperate. We spend our time running from monsters, They spend their time becoming better monsters. Captain Chen stood in the memorial hall of the Kepler 442 colony 3 days later, paying respects to those they couldn't save. The human way of war was efficient, but it came with a cost. Every soldier in her fleet understood that they carried within themselves the same capacity for violence that had nearly destroyed their own homeworld centuries ago. Captain, Rodriguez approached quietly, we're receiving requests from 17 different colonies asking for human protection. The Council wants to establish permanent human patrol fleets throughout the Outer Rim. Sarah nodded, her reflection staring back at her from the polished memorial wall. Humanity had always been reluctant participants in galactic politics, preferring to focus on exploration and trade. But sometimes, the galaxy needed reminding that Earth's children carried within their DNA the legacy of every predator they had ever outlasted, outwitted, or outfought. The Vexi had learned that lesson the hard way. As Sarah looked out at the stars through the colony's viewport, she wondered which predator species would be next to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their willingness to become whatever monster the galaxy needed them to be. In the vast darkness of space, Earth's hunters had become the hunters of hunters, and the galaxy would never be the same.